sometimes, and August has said this before. This is like a spicy take from August, where August is like, League is actually more of is an individual solo game. You play it as a solo player. You just happen to sort of play it on a team. I think these champions are more appealing and seem more fun and drive me to want to play them more when I am playing it as like solo queue, when it really is just me and these 4 degenerate teammates versus these 5 degenerate enemies, and I really don't care about anyone else in this game except myself. My hypothesis is that like if League was more of a team-based game, like actually more of a team game, which I know people are like, wait, League is a team game. Well, I don't really think it is. I think the environment of solo queue is such that it's not. I think if you're talking about League as in like Clash and friends coming together to play, I think all of a sudden you get maybe more diversity of like what can feel good as characters, because then all of a sudden the Cho'Gath tanking for me and getting the big knockup that allows us to do a sweet wombo combo, or my big frontline peeling for me and protecting me as my ADC. Like I can almost feel more connected to the other players when it's my friends, or when I feel as part of a team, where I really do feel like it's, I have my tank, I have my initiation, I have my support that's protecting me as the AD carry. Maybe then I feel better about playing an ADC like, I guess I would even say like Jinx or like Ashe, one of the more traditional ADCs, as opposed to playing like maybe a Samira or a Lucian, where I want to be able to have sort of more agency myself. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that is a fair point, right? Like you go into solo queue and you definitely have a mindset of, I have to do the best that I can possibly do, because everyone else is a wild card and they could carry or they could feed. Who knows what they're going to do, anywhere between that. And so you look at the champions like Yasuo or something, and you're like, yeah, of course. I don't have to rely on my team necessarily to succeed here. Whereas if I'm going to pick a tank, I'm like, well, that is me putting a lot of trust into my team that they're going to be actually able to make a play off of it. So I agree with you that I think that tanks and more supportive type characters, something like Cho'Gath, like we keep on talking about, even though they say to stop, feels a lot better when the people on the team that you're playing with, and you understand that they are going to make plays based off of what you do. And so like when I get that sweet knockup on my Cho'Gath rupture, and then my team follows up, right? If I'm Cho'Gath and you're Yasuo and you ult that person, and I go, hell yeah, I just set you up, and we fucking high five, right? Because that feels great, right? Whereas not knowing if that person is going to actually hit the button, not knowing if that person is going to do anything, why do I play a character that's going to be supportive, right? Why do I take that risk? And I think that's why you see tanks more popular in pro play a lot of the time, right? Like top lane meta or jungle meta, if they can get a tank, or support, if they can get a tank, they almost always do. And if they're not strong in top, you see the meta shift to support tanks are the only thing picked. Or if that's not available, then it's like jungle tanks are picked. And like those things are so strong and powerful for setting up that like they're necessary and good when you're organized, like you say. But yeah, like if you don't feel like you're willing to take the risk, uh, why wouldn't I pick something that I feel like is going to let me carry if I do well and rely on my own skill? And that's like a frustration point that I can understand from a lot of players.
Yeah, I think oftentimes when I've literally joked about this on my stream, and it's really funny because to this day, every time I get like mentioned in some thread on Reddit, I literally to this day I can always find a comment. There's always a comment somewhere where it's like yeah, like they'll be like someone will be like, wow, like I like that Blau does these like data posts, or I like when he like talks to designers. There's always some comment that's like, fuck this guy. I had him on as a Yasuo in my game and he fed and lost the game, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. Because I want to, I will lose or win you the game. Like when I will admit that I am a horrible solo queue player. Like I am the worst. I mean, right now I don't even play them. I've dropped to gold now. It's sad. But I'm like, I am that gold Yasuo player. I'm like, cool. I'm going to win or lose us the game. I get to decide the fate of this game. I don't care about what my teammates do. I will decide the fate of this game. But when I play in-houses with my friends, or when I play like sweaty Clash games, or when I've done like even like fun tournaments with friends before and stuff, I play completely different. Or even in like the Riot internal tournament, the Riot Rumble, I will completely change my play style because I want to play as part of a team. I really care. I have trust in us playing and coming together like as a team.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of satisfaction, I think, in like when you play sort of competitively or like clash, style, like more serious team fights, playing, team playing stuff. There's a lot of satisfaction in League of Legends in like crafting a composition that feels like it's cohesive and feels like it has like a game plan, and like that is definitely something that I miss from being able to play like more ranged games, right? It's like, look at our team, like look at this comp, look at this, the way that we drafted, look at all these things. It feels so smart coming into the game, and you're like, I think we just won this game in draft, and you're like, hell yeah, we got the zillion.
yeah, exactly. Well, we got Blau to play Zillion and not
Yeah.
Yasuo. It used to be a meme, right? When we do like in houses or when I'd play in like Rumble, when the other teams they just see that I have a ton of games on Yasuo, they ban Yasuo, and then our team's like, nice, we got an extra ban because they banned your Yasuo. I'm like, fuck, feels so bad. But what's interesting is I actually compare this. And again, I can't speak to all of Valorant. And I will admit that I'm actually better at Valorant than I am at League already, surprisingly. But like in Diamond Elo for Valorant, I almost expected playing Valorant, and maybe it's just because the FPS community is different, or a lot of players coming in from CS or Fortnite or Apex just play the game differently in League. But I honestly expected that I was like, cool, it's literally just going to be duelists every single game. Like it's four duelists and then like a Sova maybe, right? And I get into these games and like in the voice lobby ahead of time, like most people are pretty good. It feels, and again, I actually don't know the data on this from Valorant, but I typically feel like people are more like, oh, we need smokes. We could use Sentinel. We have too many duelists. Like I feel like people are kind of more attuned to like what they need to have a more balanced comp to actually win the game. And yeah, I wonder, and maybe that is the nature of like the different game modes that League offers. Maybe Clash is that experience that you and your friends come together, you try hard, you sweat, you actually do, get to build out a true team comp. It's okay to, to Dyrus, your top laner who's on a tank, and they're okay with that because they're playing for the team. And then when you play solo queue, it's like, cool, I'm playing Akali, Yasuo, Zed. I'm gonna just play my pop off champions. I'm gonna carry or feed, and that's it. So maybe it's that those things provide different experiences. So
Yeah, I think another thing too, right? Like in Valorant's sort of Valorant's favor for this, I think a lot of times you understand a lot more strongly in Valorant than in League that the utility characters, the value that they bring, oftentimes is like really the difference between winning and losing, right? It's like if I have, say, like an Omen to smoke off this sort of like difficult to go through passageway, or like this corner or whatever, this place, this sniper spot, whatever it is, like that is going to allow us as a team to play so differently, right? It's like we don't have to worry about this one thing because we have the smokes, or we don't have to worry about someone coming to the site because Cypher has all these tools to see it, or these sorts of things. I think are more readily apparent as to like their value, and I think more appreciable in a lot of ways. Whereas League, you have basically like a default 15 minutes of you're playing your own game unless the jungler shows up and says fuck you, I'm interrupting it, right? And like that, I think, is it makes it a lot more difficult for everyone, including like designers and players, to understand really kind of like, what is the team actually bringing for me, what do you get? Because it's funny because if you see like champions popularity, a lot of the times the ones that are better in lane are the more popular ones, because guess what, when you win lane and you lose the game, you blame the team, not yourself. Right? Even though maybe your character wasn't as useful later on, but like those things actually like allow you to sort of diffuse the blame. And so like that's kind of where I would point to, hey, that if I win on in my lane in Darius and then I lose the game, I blame my team. But however, if I'm in Valorant and I'm playing, I'm playing, I don't know, Jet or something, till Jet has smokes, but like I'm getting wrecked by people who are sort of camping in different sites or whatever, in like places that are, if we had like more utility, we could easily deal with. Then I can point to that and say, oh crap, if we had this ability, we would have done so much better. and I could have done so much better because I rely on them to succeed versus League where it's like I can feel like my solo contribution is actually more valuable.
Right. I actually really loved your point about just the literally the structure of the game, because outside of the like Randy level 1 invades where we're grouped as a team, we then go our separate ways, and now we're, yeah, you're right, we're except for bot lane, we're more isolated in our lanes. You know, there's the Scuttle Fiesta that I have to go and help the jungler with at like 3 minutes, but but in Valorant, you know, it's like, hey, from the start we are going to take a site together. We are going to play this game together. We are going to watch different angles together. And then the other thing that I think also another point to touch on that's in Valorant's favor is like, if we wanted to, like, if we thought of Valorant characters in the same way we think of League of Legends characters in terms of the power of their kit, like 90 or 95% of the power of a Valorant agent's kit is literally the guns that is accessible to all of them, right?
Everyone else,
right? Like if I like it turns out if I give you I could give you 5 Valorant like I can do 5 characters in Valorant, even if it is Raze with damaging abilities. And I know people are gonna meme on the, you know, guns are the only thing that kill you, not abilities or whatever that we said. But even if Raze is on the other team with 4 other champions, characters in Valorant, and they only have knives. They don't have their guns. They literally only have knives. And I put one character with no abilities, just, you know, Blau, the Valorant agent who has no abilities but gets a Vandal. Blau with the Vandal is just going to kill the 5 Valorant agents that don't have a gun, right? Like, they'll just win, because that actually turns out to be the strongest thing and the most expressive skill of the game, right?
Yep.
Whereas in League, we can take some champions and we can remove their auto attack, and they're still a champion. Like, they're still really strong. There's nothing quite, auto attack is maybe the closest thing we have to that in League, but you can take auto attacks away from some champions and they're still, you know, yeah, you're only cutting, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20% of their power. Whereas, yeah, in Valorant, almost all the characters are balanced around the fact that they all have access to guns, which is their character.
Yeah, I mean, it also makes it more, I think, palatable as the player to play a supportive style champion, right? It's like so much of that power is on the gun. I could still express my skill by just being better at aiming than other people. Sure, you know, Phoenix or Jet or something will be better probably at dueling and will win probably the majority of the time we face each other, but I could still shoot them in the head and kill them instantly if I hold a good angle on them or if I just aim better than them, right? And like that kind of gets to talk way back about what we were talking about earlier, which is, you know, if I'm playing a supportive character in League of Legends, I don't have that kind of power. I don't have access to that, right? Like I'm not really allowed to kill people. And so then that makes me less likely to want to do that. It makes me more likely to want to pick the hype champion so I can, you know.